Alright everybody, we want to do another division of polynomials. And the steps are just the same that we used before. The only difference is now we're dividing our divisor, in this case x plus 1, into a third degree polynomial that has 4 terms. But don't worry, the steps are just the same as we did before. So let's go through those. The first thing we do is set it up using long division. So when we do that, it's going to look like this. The x plus 1 out here, and then the x cubed minus 4x squared minus 7x minus 2. That's under the division symbol. So now we take the first term here divided into the first term there. So in other words, we take x cubed divided by x. The result of x cubed divided by x is x squared. So we place that x squared right here above the division symbol. Now some videos you look at might have you place the x squared here instead of here. That's fine, it really doesn't matter. Right? We take the x squared now and multiply it times x plus 1. So when we do that, we get x squared times x, which is x cubed, x squared times 1, which is a plus x squared. And then we do the subtraction. So remember, we're going to subtract really these first two terms minus that binomial. And because I got to subtract the entire binomial, I'm going to put it in parentheses and put a minus sign in front, because both terms have to be subtracted. Now, when there's a negative in front of the parentheses, we have to carry it through. So that negative is going to carry through and change that to a negative and that to a negative. I just want to be clear, this negative is no longer here. I distributed it through. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and combine these like terms. This x cubed and that minus x cubed cancel out. And that was the whole purpose of putting x squared up there, so that that x cubed would end up canceling out. And now we take also negative 4x squared minus 1x squared, right? There's a 1 in front of this. Minus 4 minus 1 is a minus 5x squared. And then we bring down the negative 7x. So we've done the whole process, we just have to do it again. In other words, we take this first term here now and divide it into that term. That's going to look like this, negative 5x squared divided by x. And when we do that, the x down here cancels with one of these, so we end up with just negative 5x when we do that division. So we place that negative 5x right up here over the division symbol. And we multiply negative 5x times x plus 1. So negative 5x times x is negative 5x squared. Negative 5x times 1 is negative 5x. And again, we subtract. So it's going to be negative 5x squared minus 7x minus this whole thing. And like I've said before, right, we put the negative in front because we're subtracting the entire thing. The negative then distributes to the parentheses, so that turns into a plus 5x squared. That turns into a plus 5x. That's not there anymore since we carried it through. So negative 5x squared plus 5x squared, gone, right? Negative 7x plus 5x is a negative 2x. And now we bring this guy down, which is a minus 2. We do it one more time and we'll be done. We take this first term here, divide it into that first term there. In other words, negative 2x divided by x. Well, there the x's cancel, we just have negative 2. So we put the negative 2 here, and we take the negative 2 times x plus 1. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times a positive 1 is a negative 2. We do that subtraction thing again. So we're going to put the negative 2x minus 2 in parentheses with a negative in front. When that negative carries through, it changes this to a plus and this to a plus. I get rid of it here because I've just distributed it through. Well, the negative 2x and the positive 2x cancels. The negative 2 and the positive 2, they cancel. So we don't have any remainder, which is nice. So we're going to have, as our answer then, is just going to be that, x squared minus 5x minus 2 is the quotient. Right, now you can check the answer. I won't take the time to do it now, but I think you guys can probably tell me how I would check this answer. If I multiply x plus 1 times x squared minus 5x minus 2, I need to get this as the answer, as the result. And we would. And that would confirm that's indeed the quotient. So the only other thing I want to mention is that you notice how the quotient is an x squared. It's a second degree polynomial. That's 1 degree less than what we started with here in the numerator. This was an x cubed. The result was an x squared. And that's always going to be the case, that the quotient is always 1 degree less than the original polynomial that we were dividing into. In other words, that's the dividend. And this is the quotient. Quotient is always 1 degree less than the dividend.